What's going on, everybody? Today I'm doing a review on the Bowers Griptastic Suppressor cover. Sort of a weird little cover. It's made out of high-temp silicone. What drew me to it originally was that it was only 35 bucks. I didn't need to make a $100 investment into a suppressor cover, but I'm going to test it to see if it's worth 35 bucks. And basically I'm running it through the OSS Magnum, which does run cooler than other suppressors, and it's sort of cold outside today, so this is just going to be a subjective comparison with my current conditions. But basically I'm going to see when I can no longer touch the Bear suppressor, when mirage starts coming through the scope from the Bear suppressor, and then I'll put the cover on and do the same test. But anyways, let's get right to it and let's go shoot. Alright guys, made it out to the range. Picked a perfect time of day to film. The sun is directly in my eyes and it's pretty windy, so sorry if that gets in the way of anything. But anyways, I got 4 mags loaded up, suppressors on the gun. I'm just going to start shooting and call out when I can no longer touch the suppressor and when I start noticing a lot of mirage in the scope. Alright, here we go. See how hot it is? I can put my hand on the suppressor and it's warm but not burning. Alright, now I'm a little nervous. Alright, so at this point, 10 rounds, you probably don't want to touch the suppressor anymore. My hands are pretty cold anyways, so I can't really tell how hot it is, but it's definitely at a point where I wouldn't want to keep touching it. Now, so I can better see the mirage, I'm going to start shooting up to 200. Okay, at 12 rounds, I can definitely see the first sign of mirage, nothing crazy. Okay, that's like 17, 18 rounds, starting to be more evident. Alright, so at 20 rounds, nothing too crazy, but there is definitely a bit of mirage in the scope. Nothing that's gonna not allow you to see what you're aiming at. Alright guys, so around the 30 mark, the mirage is really taking a big chunk off the scope. Okay guys, 12 rounds was when I first started noticing mirage. 17 to 18 it was getting a little bit worse, and then all the way up to 30 rounds I felt like there's no point in shooting anymore because there's too much mirage. So I went ahead and I put the suppressor cover on right away, and I'm gonna test to see if there's any mirage with just putting it on now, and I'm gonna keep shooting through it and see at what point mirage comes through the suppressor cover. So right off the bat, no mirage coming through the scope after those 30 rounds. Okay guys, literally that whole time I was shooting, the last round was when I first started to notice the mirage. So that's 50 rounds, and I'm just barely, if I zoom in, I'm just getting that same-ish amount of mirage as I would on the 17 to 18 mark. That's pretty impressive. So 50 rounds we put through this thing. Nothing more than a hand warmer at this point. I love that. Alright, my PMags are not treating me very well. I just put another 10 rounds through it. So we're up to 60 right now. I'm going to put 20 more through it. I know there's going to be a little bit of mirage, but I'm just going to, at this point, test to see if I can touch the suppressor after a total of 80 rounds through the gun. So let's see how it does. Alright guys, that was pretty fun. 80 rounds through this thing. What wouldn't be fun is touching your suppressor after you put 80 rounds through it, but let's see if this cover can do better than just the bare suppressor. 2 hands. Wow, that is ridiculous. It's like putting my hands in a bucket of hot water. That's just crazy to me, guys. I'm gonna wrap this video up down at the house, so I'll meet you down there. Alright guys, so as you can tell, it is a very nice suppressor cover. 35 bucks, that is just awesome for that kind of performance. You can shoot 80 rounds through this thing and straight up put your hands on it and not burn yourself. I think that's super cool versus you don't want to touch the can bare after 10 rounds. That's pretty impressive to me. Just a couple more things I want to touch on before I wrap up, starting with how tight of a fit this is on the suppressor. A lot of other suppressor covers will walk right off the end of the suppressor. Don't like that, but this one being silicone gets a real nice grasp on the can, doesn't walk off. That whole 80 rounds I just shot, it did not move at all. Secondly, I really like this cover because it has this sort of gear shape to it. Basically, when you put it on the suppressor, these little openings here allow air to flow around it, and yes, that could cause more mirage, but in the long run, it's actually allowing your suppressor to cool. So when you're done shooting, your suppressor is going to cool faster than just having it completely insulated 100%. Although it is covering the whole suppressor, those holes are still allowing air to escape. So last couple things, guys. It's nice because if they don't have the exact size of your suppressor for this cover, you can just get the longer one and cut it down with the utility blade exactly where you want it to be. And I mean, that's what it looks like where I cut it. I don't know if you can tell. And this is what it looks like where they cut it. So it doesn't look bad or anything like that. It's nice that you can cut it down to your length. In addition to that, it's pretty darn lightweight, in my opinion. I don't have the specs on it. You do notice it when you put it on the end of your gun. It is a little bit heavier, but for the performance you get out of it, it's just not even a question. So what are the cons to the suppressor cover? In my opinion, I don't have one con for this thing. $35 puts it in its own category, and even if it was $100, I still don't know what would be a bad thing about it. Maybe that it's silicone, but that's the whole point. It's high-temp silicone. That's what it's meant to do. It's a super good priced suppressor cover, does very well, performs very well. I can't complain about it. Well guys, that's really all I got for you today on the Bowers Griptastic Suppressor cover. Super nice. Matter of fact, I'm buying a second one for my next OSS, so that's coming in a couple months. I don't feel the need that I need to buy a $100 suppressor cover when this does everything I need and more. So anyways guys, if I did a good job explaining this cover to you, feel free to subscribe, give me a like, leave any questions in the comments. I'll be happy to answer those. But besides that guys, as always, keep shooting, enjoy your suppressors, and I'll see you on the next video.